are all here, everybody. You know, we all have storms, we all have problems, we all have issues, we all have things we deal with. It's inevitable. Life is not perfect on this earth. It's a broken earth. This is not the way God designed it. Sin entered and destroyed many of the intentions that He had on the earth, and in came sin, but He had a plan to conquer it, and it was through the death of His Son, Jesus Christ. And He has allowed us to obtain victory through salvation through His Son. And you know, He's promised that He would come in and not take away all the storms, but He would get us through the storms. And you know, when Jim approached me about speaking, it was such an awesome moment for me. I didn't have to ask him to come and speak. He just walked up to me and he said, "Hey Bob, I want to speak." And here was my favorite moment of this. He said, "Bob, I really think it'll help me," like himself. You know, it wasn't like I can't wait to get in there and help those people and show them. And you know, the idea is sharing our story and showing people our God and what He's done through us and in us. It is really a way for us to understand who we are and who our God is, and it's just awesome, and it does help us. That's why we have Broken and Remade. That's why we're here, is because we need to share our stories so people see our God. Not us. Not me, all right? Bob is just as broken as anyone else. I'm a mess. I get up here, I preach out of the Bible, and I know how to structure a lesson, all that, but listen, that's nothing without a God who saved a broken man. Nothing. And Jim, who's going to come and share with us, I know he's been through many storms. I know. I've heard many of them, and we've had some time together, and you know, I hurt for all of us because all of us are dealing with things, all right? And so when Jim shares today, look for his God. Look for who's getting him through it, and I'm sure he's going to share in a wonderful way because God laid this on his heart. So we're going to give him the floor. We're going to let him run the show however he wants to. I was really excited because we ate earlier today, and I'm like, now, do you have some notes? He's like, I don't really use notes. I'm like, that's my man, because neither do I, and I'm very well. So, Jim, come on up. Jim Cox, appreciate you, love you, and can't wait to hear from you. So, it's all yours, however you want to do it.
Thanks for that song there to kind of get the tears going. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be emotional. I might be a basket case. But I'm going to tell you my story right from the beginning. But I want to pray first. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity that I can share my story, Lord, and how you've got me through these situations. I pray that there's someone in here going through something that, through this, my story, through my testimony, Lord, that it'll allow them to open up, Lord, and see the way that you are the only way to get through the storm. I just thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everybody that's here. In Jesus' name, pray. All right. Most of you know who I am, but you don't know me. I'm an alcoholic who hasn't had a drink in 15 years. But we'll get to that part a little bit later. I'm the youngest of 6. My mom and dad, Merrill and Carolyn Cox. My dad, before I was born, was an alcoholic. And they had been going to church before that, but then he started drinking when he was in the shop because he wanted to be friends with these other people, and they drank. So he started drinking. Of course, he was addicted to it. And they stopped going to church. And it took my oldest sister, Lisa, she came and sat on his lap one day and said, "Dad, how come we don't go to church anymore?" And that broke his heart. And then my mom gave him the ultimatum, either it's me and the kids, or did you drink? And then she said one Sunday, he's dressed up in a suit, waking my mom up, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We're going to church." And from that point, he had stopped drinking. He was involved in church. The rest of us were born. I was saved when I was 5 years old. I truly believe that. I really was. I knew that that was the only way. I knew I had to put my life into God's hands. That's, Jesus Christ had to be my personal Savior. I accepted that. And my trial started early in my life. August of 1978, a drunk driver ran a stop sign, hit my dad. He rolled the vehicle end over end. I know I'm a big guy. My dad was bigger than me. He shot out the back window of the Suburban, 120 yards. Somebody stole his wallet while he was laying in the field. We didn't know that he was in the hospital until our neighbor had already got home from the hospital, because they went to 2 different hospitals. On September 5th, first day of first grade, I come home, there's a bunch of cars in the driveway. My dad had passed away. And it was about a day later. My mom said I was sitting on the steps, and she said, I guess I had asked her, I said, "Mom, Dad's in heaven, right?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "I know, he's got the biggest wings there." So, you know, a few years later down the road, my grandma passed away. You're gonna see this pattern through my life, these trials. I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. 17 years old, probably September, 1989, my senior year. A friend of mine's throwing a party down the road. He invites me, he said, "Mom, I'm staying the night at Dennis's house." That was the first time I drank. And I got drunk, I was totally smashed. I don't remember it. But that was the start of my downfall. You know, knowing that my dad was alcoholic, I'm probably going to have a pretty good chance in my genes that I'm going to have the same addiction. So I got in a party through my senior year. I turned 18, 19. I found a store by me, a little convenience store. Guy would sell to me, and he didn't care that I wasn't old enough, but I would go there, I'd buy alcohol. I finally turned 21. I was out of control. It would start out the Red Baron. They had this draft beer club. And every time you drank like a 23, 24 ounce draft beer, they'd stamp your card. It took 32 stamps to fill up that card, and then you get 2 free dinners and free sandwich. I was filling those out in 4 days. So, and that was our starting point. So I was drinking up to 8 of those beers a night, starting out, then heading out to the other bars. It got so bad that I was selling my stuff, because I needed to go out, I needed to have a drink. I had a friend of mine, we'd go out, we'd run low on money. He'd go to the little hardware store where he worked. He had the key and stuff. Of course, there was no alarm system, and we'd break into the safe, get more money just so we could drink. So move up to 1993, August. A friend of ours is getting married. My My friend was the best man. He went trying on tugs. It didn't fit. He looked stupid at me. And he said, well, if I'm going to look stupid, I want to feel good. So we stopped at the bar on the way home. 3 or 4 beers, 3 shots, 3 or 4 shots. We both bought like 2 40s apiece. Drank one while we were getting dressed. Slammed the other one in the church parking lot. So I was already pretty hammered before the wedding. I leave with my friend's girlfriend to go to the reception, and lo and behold, I meet Michelle. We stop at a party before we even go to the reception. I have 3 or 4 more beers. I did like 8 shots before I left there. Don't remember it to the reception. I guess I proposed to Michelle on the way there. They had our whole life planned. And I told her everything about me. And she still chose to be with me, which is kind of scary. So, a couple years later, 95, we get married. And November, we had Sheridan, our son. And then I feel the pressure of having a family, having a son. Pressure's building up. January 1996, 17th, I get a call. It's my mom. Leaves me a message. Says, Mike Upsgrove hung himself. This was a good friend of mine that I grew up in church. He had killed himself 3 days before my birthday. I have a 3-month-old son, I have a family, I have all this pressure. Now my friend just killed himself. I'm thinking, man, how does it get that bad? We grew up in church, you know everything about God. How did it get that point? So I'm stressing about that. The funeral's on my birthday. My birthday's tomorrow. I'm a pallbearer. Oh, yeah, happy birthday. You're burying your friend. I'm still drinking at the time. I don't have control. I was the kind of guy that I would go out, I couldn't just have 1 beer. It was all or nothing. Pedal to the floor. Didn't care. That was me. 98, Madison's boy. Pressure's getting to me. We're fighting. Because I can't handle the pressure of being a father, being a husband, still drinking. You know, just, I can't handle it. Madison's like a month and a half old. I decide I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to talk myself into, I don't need this. I'm going to get divorced. I move out. All because I had to drink. And every night I was out drinking, trying to numb that pain that I'm feeling, the pressure. But the whole time, I had 2 ladies praying for me. One was my wife. She's praying for me. She made a commitment to God. We both made a commitment to God, and she wasn't giving up on it. She wasn't giving up on her marriage. She wasn't giving up on me. So, I still do. Then I had my mom. If you knew my mom, she was a prayer warrior. If she said she's going to pray for you, she meant it. There was times when I would come home, I would be just totally drunk. She would come downstairs, and I would just look at her and go, Mom, I'm drunk. I'll talk to you in the morning. And then meanwhile, I could hear her go upstairs and actually get on her knees and pray for me. There's a song that Chris Stapleton wrote. It's called Daddy Doesn't Pray Anymore. But the one verse in there is like, he says, you know, there was a time when I thought I was right and he was wrong. But he still would get down on me and pray for me. That was my mom. She would pray for me all the time. So I had her. I know I had others praying for me. I had my wife praying for me. I would still show up at church, still reading alcohol. I'm still now. I moved in with my mom. That was short-lived because my mom says, you know, if you're going to do this, you're not living here. So she kicked me out of the house. What am I going to do? There was one night I went out. I didn't have nowhere to go. I had been drinking a lot. I pulled up in my mom's driveway of all places and just sat there. Laid the seat back, left the car on. Didn't know what was going to happen. It just happened to be my buddy lived next door. A couple hours later, knocked on my window. It says, give me a place to sleep, you know, for the night. I had a guy at work. They gave me a place, you know, let me live in his basement. And the whole time I lived there, him and his wife kept telling me, hey, you need to go home. Go back to your family. And I'm like, no, I'm getting a divorce. I'm not doing this. And they're like, no, man, you need to go home. Meanwhile, I mean, we have videos. Michelle's taping the kids, and you hear her tell the Sheridan, well, Daddy's coming over tonight for dinner. Whenever I watch it, it still kind of tears in my heart. Because I wasn't there for my son. I wasn't there for my daughter. I wasn't there for my wife. I was being selfish. I gotta drink. Alcohol had control of me. And the whole time, because I turned away, all I had to do was turn around. God's right there. He's whispering, Jim, I'm right here. This is all you need, I'm right here. But I didn't want to listen to it. I just wanted to keep listening to me. I'm the dumbest guy to listen to. You know, just like, I don't know. And then it hit me one day. I was supposed to go up north. And Michelle had asked me if I was coming to church, and I said, no, I'm going up north. I was getting ready to go up north, and it's like God just punched me in the face. So what are you doing? And I didn't go up north. I ended up going to church, and I surprised Michelle. You could see the look on her face. She was shocked. She's like, what are you doing here? I don't know. Just wanted to be here with you and the kids. I finally moved back home, but I still had a drinking problem. The drinking problem didn't go away. I went home. It got a little better, but I was still drinking. I was still out of control. I would stop after work, and I had to drink with the boys. You know, I had to get my fix. You know, it's kind of like a person on heroin. I had to get my fix. I couldn't stop. It finally took Michelle saying the same thing my mom said to my dad. Like, it's either the alcohol or it's being the kids. That was the biggest gut shot I ever had. Boom. I did skip a part. In '92, my stepdad had cancer. It was May 25th, it was Memorial Day. He was laying in the bed in the living room. My mom said, go out there in case you need something. So I woke up. he told me to go outside and wait. And I said, for what? He said, I'm gonna blow my head off. And I said, with what? And I thought he had been hallucinating with morphine and stuff. He pulled 357 ounce stuff to his head. And I said, Dwayne, that's what you gotta do, just know we love you. And I ran and I called my mom next door, and as I'm calling my mom, my buddy's telling me that 2 of our friends had just drowned the day before. So I had all this. This was my life. Every time I turned the corner, somebody was dying. The worst part about that is, like, me and my siblings, we cleaned up that mess. We cleaned up the blood splatter everywhere, just so my mom wouldn't see it. I mean, that's not something you're supposed to go through at 20 years old. Not supposed to have to clean that up. But all this led to all my pressure, all my alcohol. But when Michelle gave me that ultimatum, it's like God whispered in my ears. He says, look what I've given you. I've given you this beautiful wife. I've given you this family, and you're trying to throw it away. October 31st, 2001 was the last time I drank. AA wouldn't have done it for me. It was that. It was losing everything I had was the only thing that woke me up. So we got through that. We got through the alcohol. 2010. We go over, we're fixing my mom's roof. My mom says, your brother Michael's in the hospital. He lived down in South Carolina. So, okay. It was a few days later, my mom gives me a call. She says, I have to go down to South Carolina. The doctor said I need to come down. So I said, okay, Mom, I'll take you down. So I drove my mom down. We get down there on my brother's 49th birthday. He's on a ventilator. He's holding so much fluid that, like, his hands look like if you took a latex glove and blew it up. That's how bad his hands and his feet were swollen. He probably looked like he was over 500 pounds, and he's on a ventilator. Didn't look good. We weren't able to talk to the doctor that day, so we waited until the next day we talked to him. He pretty much said that, you know, he's not going to get any better. You know, even if he comes off the ventilator, if he survives it, he's not going to be a normal person. So my mom had to make the decision to take my brother off life support. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to go through, to see your brother, who you only talk to every so often. I still miss the phone calls where my big brother would tell me he loved me, you know. I miss that. But he died October 1st, 2010. November, right before Thanksgiving, we get a call. Michelle's aunt passed away. So, the day after Thanksgiving, we're going down to Kentucky for a funeral. The following February, we get another call. Her other aunt had passed away. What was it? Spring or summer? her 29-year-old cousin has a heart attack and passed away. November 2011, my oldest brother goes in the hospital. We don't know if he's going to make it. He's got a bad infection, a pocket infection in his neck. I mean, he's on the verge of death. Doesn't look good. 2 days later, my niece, she goes to the hospital in Wausau because she just had a kidney transplant about 8 months before that. For a regular checkup, we had called her, flying her down to Sparrow. She's not doing good. My 23-year-old niece passed away. I just think, when's it gonna stop, God? How many times do you gotta hit me? How much more I can take? So we have a little break. It goes March 2014. My best friend, Keith, Cool Keith Culp, Jerry's husband. Well, the year before, he was diagnosed with cancer. I made up these stupid shirts that Keith just loved. He had to have like 6 of them, one for every day. He was going out to Boston to have his surgery. I remember the night before his surgery, I called him. I was talking to him and he was excited, he was happy. And he kept saying, Jim, you kept praying for a miracle and here it is, it's happening. I said, well, it's not here yet, Keith, but we're going to continue praying. Well, March comes around. Keith didn't make it. I remember getting that text. I was at winter retreat playing, and for some reason we set our clocks wrong or something. We got up early, Will and I did, and took a shower. Nobody else was up, and then I get back and I get a text. Keith is gone. It's like, wow. So me and Keith, of course, elaborate and his funeral and stuff. It took 2 weeks to get to. But the day before I get a call. My uncle down in Florida, my dad's older brother, passed away. All right, here we go. Starting all over again. Go to Keith's funeral. I get a call later that day. My cousin's husband passed away. My sister, who was diagnosed with, my other sister was diagnosed with MS. She had it for like 14 years, had been in a nursing home. She probably weighed 80 pounds. She was bedridden for probably the last 5 years. The following Wednesday after Keith's funeral, I get a call from my sister and my brother. His sister Denise had passed away. That's 4 within a 2-week period. And I just thanking God for these people in my life, even though they passed away. Thanks. I had the opportunity to officiate my sister's funeral. My mom had always told me, Jim, any opportunity you get a chance to share God, do it. And I knew there was going to be unsaved people there. And that was my opportunity to share God, to present the gospel, to show that Jesus Christ is the way. October, same year, had my aunt pass away. November, well, right before that, in July, we had opportunity to send my mom out to see her younger sister who had leukemia, was dying. She got to spend a week out there. In November, she passed away. That's 6 deaths in 2014. I think we made it through 2015. I don't remember. 2016. Pastor of our old church, who I was named after, passed away in January. Went to his funeral. About a month later, I get a call from my mom. Your Uncle Lewis is not doing good. He's in a hospice. Here we go. Just starting again. It's rolling. April, my Uncle Lewis passed away. I go to the funeral. My brother says, "Have you noticed anything different about Mom?" No, she's the same crazy, wacky lady I know. I don't. He goes, "I tell you, there's something different about Mom." I go, "Well, you see her," because my brother moved in with her to help her financially. He says, "There's something wrong with her." And he had made a statement. He goes, "I have a feeling that Mom's next." I'm like, "You're crazy. Mom's fine." This whole time, I coached my daughter in softball her entire high school year. It's towards the end of May. I get a phone call from my sister. We're at practice. And she says, "Mom's got to go in for a CAT scan. Doctor wants to have a CAT scan in her stomach. He thinks he felt something." Great. So at that practice, I'm a little on edge. I end up blowing up on the JV coach. Well, it was for a good reason, but just because I had worked really hard on the mound, and then he had his pitchers pitch, and he just blew up on him. I did apologize though, but the last week in May, she had the CAT scan done. Hour and a half later, the doctor called and said, "I need to see you in the morning." So my sister had called and told me. And so I went with my sister and we took my mom. He says, "You need to get admitted to the hospital. There's 2 tumors in there." Here we go. Hit me hard. So we took her to the hospital. Finally set her up with an oncologist, went and seen him. We go there and says, "Yeah, I'm going to set you up with a specialist. He deals in these tumors." It sounded like it, "Hey, she's going to have surgery, she's going to be fine. We got this hope, So, oh, my mom is, you can tell she's getting weaker and sick because she's not been able to eat. And so she's throwing up this black bile. My sister calls a nurse and said, "Take her down to U of M," and go down there and they do an x-ray. And the surgeons down there go, "Oh, we're pretty sure that I'm going to be able to operate on this." And they showed my sister and niece it was one giant tumor. A couple of days later, June 23rd, they had to go see the specialist. We walk in there, he just says, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you." He said the tumor is so big it's wrapped around 3 major blood vessels. It had shoved all of her intestines and stuff to one side. That's how big it was. And my mom got a smile on her face. The biggest smile I've ever seen. And she looked at the doctor and she said, God is good all the time. And I just thought, man, she's ready. She's ready. There's no stopping this. So we set up hospice for her. The hospice nurse comes in. It's actually the 4th of July she come and she says, we kind of ask her, she goes, well, I don't really know. She goes, but her condition, we're thinking maybe a month. Well, I stayed a night with her that night. She's just having a terrible night. Up and down. She's vomiting. She's restless. You know, this is my mom that her husband died and she still had 5 kids at home. She didn't have a job. And she's been through all this stuff, and she's always been my guiding faith. She was always a person I looked at for faith. There was times when bills were due, we didn't have the money, and all of a sudden somebody would write her a check just because they felt like she needed it, and it would be the right amount. If you can tell me that's not God, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You can't see it. So my sister comes over, and our brother's there, and of course I leave. We're at the store, and I call my Uncle Bill, her brother, who's the missionary. I was telling him, I said, oh, they only give her like a month, or the hospice nurse said maybe a month. He goes, well, at least you got a couple of weeks to prepare for it. I said, Uncle Bill, I don't care how much you prepare for it. Once it happens, all that stuff goes out the window. My brother calls me a couple hours later and he says, we give Mom 24 hours. 24 hours. I think, wow. So, of course, we go over there. It's a Thursday. You know, we got people come and visit her. She's kind of out of it. My other brother finally made it into town. He gave Mom a hug. He said, Mom, it's okay. You can go. We're fine. Friday night, 11 o'clock, my mom passed away. I guess it wasn't real. You know what happened? Also in that song, where he says, you know, Daddy doesn't pray anymore. I used to listen to that song all the time. The final verse says he followed Daddy down to church. Listen to the preacher preach his word, God's word. Saying Daddy's favorite hymn, Daddy didn't make a sound. Today we lay with the ground. And when it said, you know, he said, in the chorus when he says, Daddy doesn't pray anymore. The choruses before that was, I guess he's finished talking to the Lord. This one said, I guess he's finally walking with the Lord. I thought, that's Mom. This song's about Mom. Even though it says Daddy, it's about Mom. This just really hit me. I got to speak at her funeral. I got to present the gospel there. After that, the last few months, last 4 or 5 months, really struggled. Because I never really had that big breakdown and never really cried. And it was destroying me because I did. Just going out to a conference, you will hear that with John and Paul Dabrowski. And I was telling John this. He says, well, you know, Jim, our parents have prepared us for our whole life. You know, this world is not ours, you know. Heaven is ours. That's our real place. That's where we need to be. Maybe that's why you're not, you know, I don't know, this is killing me, John. I can't. I'm just struggling. And my daughter's probably going to roll her eyes, but when I coached, I like to try to give motivations. And all the motivational speeches I ever got were from Rocky. He has the best, I don't know, motivational speeches. And I think of this one, you know, he's talking to his son, it's in the Rocky Balboa one. And you know, he says, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshines and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit you as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. You know, how much can you take and keep moving forward? That's how winning is done. And I'm thinking, man, I'm just taking the blows and I'm just turtling up, taking them. I'm not getting up. And I think about boxing. The most important person in boxing is the corner man. I think Jesus Christ is my corner man. And he's telling me, get up, Jim. I got you. You'll get through this. I can see everything happening. Because your corner man can see everything that's going on. He's telling me, get up. I don't want to get up. I'm taking this pain. I'm hurt. My wife and my daughter have been scared for me, worried. I know they've been praying. But I don't want to give up the pain. I want that one person to say the wrong thing just so I can just let loose. Let them feel my pain. I don't want to listen to God, you know. You know, I want to deal with the pain myself. I want somebody else to feel it. So I've been struggling. I told Bob this. This is why I wanted to tell my story. It's because I've been struggling lately. Christmas Eve, I take a shower, I'm getting ready and I'm brushing my hair. And I'm just staring at the mirror at myself. I'm just staring and go, oh my goodness. I look just like my dad. That's what it hit me. I look just like my dad. Same stupid hairstyle. Same big forehead. Just like, it's hit me. So I get dressed and I go out and I got our old family portrait. I'm like 2 or 3 in it. And I'm just staring at my dad. So I'm looking in the mirror. And I held it up next to my head and I looked at Michelle and I thought, I look just like this guy. And I lost it. I finally broke down and what a relief it was. You know, this whole time I've been praying. And it didn't take until I was at work, an Iron Maiden song come on, Face in the Sand. I know, weird, it's a reference. But there's a line in there that says, everybody's praying, but nobody's believing. And it hit me. I go, that's me. I'm praying, but I don't want God to heal me. I'm going through the motions, but I don't want the results. Because I'm scared that if I move from this place, I'll actually have to do what I'm told. I have to obey God, you know. But that really hit me. That and my dad, my mom, I miss them. You know? Usually right about now I'd get a $5 check from my mom, like I'm still 5 or something. But that's okay. I'm getting better. Ever since Christmas Eve, I'm starting to get better. Christmas was hard for me, but I got through it. I was telling Bob, we went through my mom's stuff December 27th, and I got all of her Bibles. And, you know, my mom didn't just, she practiced what she preached. She was more of an action person than she was, you know, just saying it. She was doing it, you know, about sharing the gospel. And I opened up one of her New Testaments, just little small New Testaments that she used. And there's, I don't know how many names in there, but there's just names and dates of people that she led to the Lord. So my mom didn't just preach it to us, she showed it. She lived it. You know, and I guess because of my mom, because of seeing her faith, that's how I learned how to, you gotta use your own faith. I didn't use hers, I didn't, you know, use anything she did, but I learned from her. I learned how to use my own faith. I learned how to talk to others. I mean, I use that work. I work in GM, and that's probably the closest thing to hell on earth is. I mean, the people in there are just nasty people. And I just remember this one time, this lady I was working with, she said to me one time, she said, "Hey Jim, I know she don't swear." I said, "Well, you know, I try not to. You know, I'm a Christian. I don't believe in swear." So she of course she started apologizing to me. You know, "I'm sorry. I'll watch what I say." And I said, "You know, you don't have to change because of me." I said, "I'm a realistic person. I know people swear and stuff. Don't change because of me. I mean, be who you are. Don't be somebody different. I don't care. It doesn't affect me." Well, the job I was on was a lady that was on sick leave because her husband was dying of cancer, and it was a good friend of hers, and he passed away. She went to the funeral, and she come back and she was mad. "What's wrong?" She's like, "Well, that guy, all he did was preach. You're supposed to be honoring this guy." Excuse me. Which I think he did, you know. I'm sure he honored the guy, but he also presented the truth to her, you know. And she didn't like it. She was upset with it. She was mad. And then she was talking, "You know, I just hate these people that come around and all they do is they invite me to church. All they do is want to invite me to church, invite me to church." And I started laughing. She goes, "What are you laughing at?" I go, "You want to come to church Sunday?" And she started laughing. "Oh, Jim." I go, "No, I'm being serious." She goes, "Well, I'll think about it." So, you know, I invited her a few times. Of course, she never came. But the one day she come up to me, she said, "Jim, I'm missing something." She goes, I don't know what it is, but I'm missing something. I said, well, Dana, you know, Ecclesiastes says God has put this yearning in our heart to yearn for Him. We want Him. We desire Him. Every person desires Him. I said, we keep throwing this crap in here, junk, material stuff. He said, and the real thing we need is Jesus Christ. I mean, it's right there. She goes, I think that's why I think I need God. That's as far as it went. They never worked with her anymore after that. But at least I put the seed in there. The opportunity was there. Just like my mom said, every opportunity you have, you need to share. So I share my story mainly to help me. But if there's someone, I don't know, whoever sees this video, who's in this room, if it helps you, then it's worth it all. That's why I share my story. So thanks for listening to me.
All right, thank you, Jim. Yes. I don't want to follow that up with too many words, but two things that stuck out that I want to just mention. He said, I want someone to feel this pain that I feel. I just want them to feel it, you know, because he needed to get it off himself. And it brought to mind Hebrews 4:15. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are without sin. You know, the Lord felt a lot of pain for us. The nails driven through his hands, the feet. He showed us an example of, I will take your pain. And then also Jim said something amazing too. What brought it out, finally the pain came out when he saw a picture of his dad, and he said, I'm realizing I'm looking more like Dad. Isn't that the goal? To look more like the Father. That's what that made me think of. You know, he saw his earthly father, but you know what I'm seeing in Jim right now is him getting closer and closer to the image of the Son of God. That's our goal. And through the trials and storms, it breaks us of us so we can become more like him and he can enter in. And that's what's happening with Jim and all of us. And this is why we have to share our stories, to see God in us. Because it's God. It's not us. So we're going to leave it at that. Jim, thank you. I'm going to pray and then we're going to head out. Father, thank you so much for Jim's willingness to share with us today. Thank you for what you've done for us and what you've done for Jim. And you know, this earth is a very broken place, and death is unnatural, and the pain we feel is not the way you intend it to be, Father. You want us to live in peace and joy, and you want to provide that for us, and we need to turn to you and understand that you are love and peace. And Father, come into our lives and fill that void, fill that hole. And I thank you so much for what you've done for Jim in holding on to him through this storm. And all of us. And I pray that all of us will share our stories for others to hear that there is hope in our God, no matter what this world brings at us. And we're all in this together. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all for coming.
Did you say 4:15?
Yeah, Hebrews 4:15.